Well, cheating and infidelity can ruin a marriage, break up a family, and have a real serious impact on somebody's mental health.
Yeah, it's not always obvious when someone is being unfaithful, but new research shows that people with a certain personality disorder are more likely to detect if their partner is cheating. So joining us now to talk about this is Dr. Robbie Ludwig. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Such an interesting study, right?
Yeah, let's talk about this personality disorder. People with neuroticism are more likely to sniff out infidelity. Why is that?
So the neurotic personality tends to be very anxious and negativistic, and they tend to think about the worst case scenarios on an ongoing basis. So they tend to ruminate a bit. And that changes their attachment style. Their attachment style is not secure. They tend to be suspicious. So they're more inclined to think, maybe my partner is cheating. Maybe they're not being loyal to me. And they tend to dig for information until they find something that substantiates their theory.
All right, but not everybody is quick to detect a cheating partner, especially if you have your own thing going on and you're not necessarily thinking along those lines. But you do have some telltale signs that can help out. So I'm going to go through a few of those. I know the first is change of behavior or communication style. So what exactly are we talking about there? Because we all have good and bad days.
Right. So these are behavioral tendencies and trends. So if someone seems really shut down all of a sudden, if they tend to be avoidant, they're working late, maybe your sex life is different. Either there's no sex or there seems to be unusual sex that was never tried before. There could be a criticalness and lying. So you can tend to see patterns if you're looking. And people get a feeling typically as well.
Sure.
Okay, so your next sign is an increased interest in their appearance. But how can you tell it's because they are actually cheating?
So it's always great to want to look your best, but if you're seeing signs like your partner is staying out late, you can't get in touch with them, you sense that they're lying, and they're changing the way that they look and their appearance and even maybe their style, if you look at that all together, that can be an indication that something else is going on in their life.
Or dousing themselves with some new cologne or body spray.
Yeah.
All right. Exactly right. The next clue is somebody may be cheating is that they seem a little more secretive. Do you have examples of that?
So the phone is a really big one. So we know that people who are cheating tend to be very possessive of technology, their computer, their phones. Sometimes they erase their history. Sometimes they're not available when they normally were available. They change password codes. All of a sudden, they're not as forthcoming as they used to be.
Those people that flip their phones over on the screen so you can't see when those notifications pop up.
Or I haven't had any text messages at all. Oh my gosh.
All right, so if you feel like your partner is avoiding you, could that also be a sign?
Absolutely, because people who are cheating, they don't want to be confronted. They want to avoid confrontation. So they tend to try to not be available as much, or in some cases, they feel guilty. They do feel badly about cheating. So they don't want to have to look their partner in the eye and come up with a lie or excuses or be questioned because that feels uncomfortable as well.
There's also another side to that, though. Isn't there the side where they're being overly attentive to?
Well, that can happen as well. There can be this over-attentiveness. And again, that's a change in behavior. And if it seems really extreme over a period of time, you do want to explore that.
Yeah, I heard that from
that's a great point.
Okay, so Dr. Robbie, before we let you go, a change in technology use. What do you mean by that?
So a change in technology, again, is, not being available and a change in passwords, some of the things that we discussed before. I even have a patient who was taking selfies in the car and texting it at weird times. So that was a sign. So things just tend to seem a little bit distant and different. And when you question the person about it, they tend to get argumentative or shut down, and their answers are a bit vague.
So I want to make sure nobody goes away.
It's hard to lie. for some people.
Right. I want to make sure no one goes away with this segment like, oh my gosh, they turned their phone over, so they're cheating. What would you say if somebody only checks one of the boxes? You can't just assume they're a cheater.
Oh, and I would, in general, not make that assumption. It's just not a healthy way to live. But if you do have concerns, wait until you've processed your emotions
Yeah.
and then approach your partner and say, I'm feeling a little insecure about us. I'm noticing changes. What's going on? And see if that opens anything up. And then you can always go for joint counseling if you'd like to feel more secure in your relationship, which is always a good idea.
Or go through their text messages.
Exactly.
All right, Dr. Ravi, always great to have you on the show for this very interesting topic. Thank you.
All right.
Likewise, great to see you both.
See you later.